or even them take any time to observe what independence means. Not them doing that. It's wearing red because that's what we do. And it's almost like eating curry on Diwali. It's what we just do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if we're going to count it as an achievement or something, a benefit of independence, then we have to not just say it has happened. We have to make the case that it wouldn't have happened if we weren't independent.
No, years ago I used to say, and I don't know if I still feel this way, but I used to say that I think we should have, given up our independence and go back under the Queen and beg
if we had a choice.
Yeah, if we could have, tell the Queen take us back. Oh Queen. But I always believe like for here we weren't mature enough as a people. We weren't mature enough. Our leaders, because the leaders came from here, they weren't mature enough to manage the money that we had and the resources that we had. In my opinion, that is how I felt. Yo, welcome back. It's the Alternative Perspectives podcast, the App 868. And yeah, we're here again for another week, another fun-filled week, big week. Yeah, it's a big week in Trinidad and Tobago.
A big week for you too.
A big week for me too.
Yeah,
right?
A big week for you. It's been a particularly big week for you.
For me, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we go jump into that. Yeah, we go jump into that. I am Naldo, by the way.
Jude.
And yeah, that's what we do. We podcast, right? For the people who probably checking us out on YouTube, you can check it out on our podcasting platform. Podcasts are really made to be listened to or ingested in an audio-only kind of way, right? A lot of Trinidadians still now getting into the podcast game, and they come across it through YouTube, so But this is what we call long-form content. And it's easier to listen to it on while in the gym, you're driving to work, or you're taking transport, you're taking a walk. You listen rather than type your phone with YouTube.
And all that data.
And all that data as well.
Yeah. So if you're using a podcast hosting app, you could just download while you're home on your Wi-Fi, and you could listen for 5 hours. We don't go on for 5 hours, but if we did go on for 5 hours, you could listen for 5 hours on the road, not utilizing any of your data. So that's the another major benefit of consuming what we do here in an audio format.
Right. And for Android users, you have Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, and Apple users, you have Apple Podcasts, and well, of course, all them that I called before as well.
Yeah, all of them available on that.
Yeah, we just have to get into that now.
Do the needful. We are, I'm going to say single-handedly, but no, there are other Trinidadian podcasters. But we are, together with them, trying to build podcasting in Trinidad and Tobago, so we spreading the word.
Right. But yeah, this week was a kind of important week. I mean, all right, so I guess when Jude say for me too, I would have celebrated my fourth anniversary, wedding
4 years already, boy?
Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah, boy. 4 years as a married man.
Time real flying, boy. You see what COVID?
Yeah.
COVID took 2 years of people's lives. It's like if life was on pause for 2 years. So don't feel like that time passed at all. I feel like it was just not the other day. If you asked me, I'd tell it was 2 years ago.
Serious?
Yeah, I'd say it was 2 years ago I went to wedding. So it's like, that's crazy to me, boy.
Yeah, 4 years. The thing is, we did nothing major, nothing. I mean, I don't know the cash in really playing. Still waiting for that cash. That cash. Yeah.
The cash, you see.
Well, still waiting for money,
It sounds like something else at first now. So I want to make sure the cash.
The cash,
Cash, right.
The cash,
Yes.
Cash in early. Playing that way, so. Right. Still playing the waiting game. Right. For some payments from
people that own.
Own
the cartel.
Yeah. You understand? Mm-hmm. So they didn't really do nothing major, anything great.
Mm-hmm.
But we still went out to see the fireworks celebration, as Trinidad and Tobago celebrated 60 years of independence. So we had the fireworks display, which normally happens. I think this was the first one since after COVID, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since the pandemic.
Since the pandemic kicked off.
Yeah.
So this is the first one in 2 years.
Well, 3 years. So
This is the first one in 3 years. Yeah. First one in 3 years. So we went and we checked the house, had a line with the family and whatever the case may be. And the fireworks, I don't know if you saw it.
No.
Oh, okay. You know into that kind of thing?
No, I just wasn't able with the hassle. Because actually, we were planning to take the train to the one in Arima.
Right.
And then we found out Arima didn't have any.
Serious?
Yeah. Apparently, they didn't get no funding. The Borough Corporation was like, nah. And apparently, they put the word out. They were putting the word out since, like, on social media since last week. I just was unaware. And then, people, they were kind of saying it wouldn't happen, but then ever so often they'll drop a little hint like, well, we're still trying. We still go into the business community and see if they're willing to sponsor. But then on, I think it's Friday evening, they say, nah, that's it. So, but I only found out all of that on, no, not Friday, no? Tuesday. Yeah.
Right.
I only found out all of that on Independence Day itself, which was yesterday. So that threw everything, a span. Anyway, if I had known I was going to Port of Spain, then I'd have go down early, line by my mother, and just walk out by the savannah, and it'd have been a cool scene. But to realize that after 6, I ain't not fighting up in that traffic, bro. You know what I mean?
It was really ridiculous to get into Port of Spain after a certain time yesterday. And then Port of Spain, like it ended up gridlock, boy, all over them.
I could just imagine. Listen, it used to be like, I grew up in Belmont, right? So I know how it used to be. And it used to be like that when the fireworks show wasn't as grand as it is now. And when it wasn't, they didn't have as much going along with it, because you remember yesterday was a big deal. Apart from that, there was
a few things, eh?
Yes, exactly. So, and it used to be pressure back in them days. So I just know with the amount of kerfuffle that was set to take place down there and the anticipation, because long time people didn't come out for that vibes. So I didn't even bother, dog. We went to Grand Bazaar. Took the train to get something to eat in Grand Bazaar, and the traffic after the Nestle flyover, we reached where we were going. The traffic was free up until then, and then it was gridlock into town after that.
Serious?
Yeah. So it's pressure.
Yeah,
and that was after 8. So I could imagine what would have been about 7 o'clock trying to reach you.
Yeah. I went into town. I reached in town probably about 6:15. Later than I wanted to, but I reached into Port of Spain about 6:15, and it was already getting thick. It was already getting a little hard to move around, to maneuver. But what I would admit though, I went to Movie Town to pick up some KFC. Guys, it's a family line, so buying some stuff or whatever, and saw a lot of people. This is before the fireworks ending, right? So a lot of people came out in the red, white, and black. Well, a lot of red, obviously, and I felt a bit proud. A bit proud. Oh. Yeah, to be honest, I was like, wait, but real people still have some degree of patriotism, or real people, this means something to real people still, right? But then today, thinking about it, I was like, a lot of these people who will put on the red, I don't know, they will probably litter or probably do a lot of things that would help to the demise of the country in one way or the other. So, I think is everybody just like, is almost like, they're not really displaying any affinity or appreciation for the country. It's just, this is what we just do on independence. You know what I mean? This wear red, and fly flags. But it's not really, because there's no real connection between what they do in their action and some real appreciation or even them taking any time to observe what independence means. Not them doing that, just wearing red because that's what we do. And it's almost like eating curry on Diwali is what we just do. Right.
You know what I mean? So that is what I should mention, before we go forward, it just occurred to me, because somebody, a listener of the podcast she messaged me a little while ago, asking me if I felt the same way about independence as I do about emancipation. Because remember, for emancipation, I was saying I do understand why we celebrate it. And I was saying I actually never thought about it before. And I guess in a way that was kind of answering her question. Clearly, I don't feel the same way because it never even occurred to me that I might have the same sentiment. But, and I told her, well, I will think about it and she can listen to the podcast for the answer. So as you mentioned something there, I just triggered that. So, but I understand what she's saying. The point is that if I'm saying that actually we shouldn't celebrate emancipation because it's only marking the day that the oppressors gave us freedom, why that's a kind of morbid or disturbing thing to commemorate. Independence is kind of the same thing, In fact, all of yesterday, all I was hearing was, we're celebrating 60 years of freedom.
Right.
Which is essentially what emancipation is. You're celebrating, many more years than 60 of freedom. So in a sense, I guess I should feel the same way and wonder why we celebrate it. But I could feel, when I thought about it deeply, I was like, all right, I could kind of still see differences. Number one, of course, slavery is not the same as colonialism. Now, we had slavery along with colonialism, but colonialism existed long after slavery ended. So, and I was saying, with emancipation, I was saying, like, it feels to me like if, I use the analogy of if I was falsely imprisoned for a crime I didn't commit or something, and then one day they I get a retrial and I was released. I'm not going to commemorate that day that I was released. I would be glad for my freedom and I would honor the fact that I'm free by living my best life every day or trying to. But I wouldn't mark the day that I came out of captivity because that feels weird. What I would see independence more like is not like if I was in prison, but more like if celebrating the day I left my mother's house.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And I still wouldn't do that, but that doesn't feel as disturbing or morbid to me.
Well,
as
the thing is, because to me, it can be, should I say, the celebration of our birth. You understand what I'm saying?
Right,
of the country now becoming one of its own, or one in its own.
Well, I mean, it was a country before.
Yeah, but I say one in its own.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. In a
right?
sense, yes. Yeah.
So I could see it being celebrated as a birthday because obviously countries are not like people, right? So
right.
not like somebody's get pregnant and make it.
Right.
So
yes.
yeah, right. So I could see you celebrating it as a birthday. And one of the things I like about it is just like when some people celebrating their birthdays, you look back and see what you have achieved or have not achieved, year by year. Right?
I stopped doing that.
With your birthday?
Yeah.
I understand it could be depressing.
Yeah. I go ahead and do that with a bottle of Hennessy and a revolver next to my head or something. I could start to think some dark thoughts if I do that.
But the thing is, but I could understand, probably if we started to do at a younger age, I might have done things differently.
Maybe
the endings might have been different.
Yeah, maybe. If I take any time, like we probably gonna get to in a bit about what we should be doing around independence. Like maybe you're right. If I had done that, if I'd stopped and taken stock earlier, I might be more willing to do that now. I might be happier.
Yeah.
I might be as depressed if I was to do that now.
Yeah. So I mean, you can look at it like that, but so that's why I kind of see it as because it's something that used to upset me for many years when we celebrated independence, and we like. Also, like nobody gonna call out people on these things, or we're not going to try to address these things. I mean, because we are a year older, but I mean, some things getting worse. I mean, I'm not gonna say the country has not improved. There's some degree of improvement in many areas, but then there are some things that I think should be very basic that we should have. So, but for me, at this point, I just take the time to look back at what we have, we as a country, we as a whole, what we have accomplished. And
you see, there are so many things, like, for instance, I hear what you're saying, but, I read parts of the Prime Minister's message, and, he was doing kind of the same thing, telling people not to be so negative and look back at achievements. And he was pointing out certain things, the sporting achievements. are these things things Trinidad and Tobago has achieved? Like, you know, Atto Bolden winning a bronze, Keyshawn Walcott winning a gold, Hazy Crawford winning a gold. You know, what were those things achievements that we can take claim to? You know, I could kind of understand things, broader things like cultural development, all right, societal developments. But when you start pointing to things like, you know, things that people who happen to be born here,
right,
you know what I mean, were able to achieve. And I mean, when you think of when you hear Atto Bolden speak, does he sound like you or me? No. Because, and what that is a testament to is how much of his development took place outside of here.
Right.
Right? So, can we point to him, or how useful is it for us to be pointing to him and say, yes, you see, that is what we could achieve. That's what he achieved. You understand? So I find this kind of thing about piggybacking off of the individual achievements, you know, like if that's not something we did, I don't know how much.
And I mean, if you talk to a lot of people and they want to be honest, they will tell you that a lot of them never get much support from the government on their journey. Right.
So some of them would say they achieved what they achieved in spite of being born here, as opposed to because they were born here. You know what I mean? Because the things afforded to them here.
Right. So I mean, I could understand exactly what you're saying with that. But I think it have certain little things that we hear that some things that kind of work out good for us. I think some of the development this country has seen.
Well, okay, but if we're gonna count it as an achievement or something, a benefit of independence, then we have to not just say it has happened. We have to make the case that it wouldn't have happened if we weren't independent. Now, to some extent, as Kamala was quite eager to point out, you know, we didn't really have a choice in the matter. The UK, Britain was done with this. You know, these colonies were costing them more than it was benefiting them. So it's not like if we could have stayed if we wanted to. Britain was ready to release us, but so I mean, is that kind of you know, it's not really a salient point to talk about whether or not it would have happened if we weren't. But if we're going to count it as an achievement as a result of independence, then we had to argue or make it clear that it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
If we had remained a colony.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I think Carnival started and would have probably developed if
Carnival existed before.
It started then and would have developed if we were still under them.
So if we were, let's say we were a territory like Guadeloupe or Martinique, that's what we have to. That's what you're looking at. That's what it would have meant. Because they are administrative territories, I think is the correct term, of France.
Right.
I think Cayman Islands is still an administrative territory governed by the UK still. Saint Martin by the Dutch and the French. Right. So that we are saying that's what we would have been.
Right.
That you could look at those nations and see, well, all right, what has happened there? They don't have autonomy in the same way that we do. And a lot of, no, I shouldn't say that. Well, no, they don't have it in the way that we do. They do have large degrees of autonomy, but they are still generally administrated by the European masters. So that is what we would have been, or that you could look at that as a template. Like, we'd have been kind of like that had independence not taken place.
No, years ago I used to say, and I don't know if I still feel this way, but I used to say that I think we should have, given up our independence and go back under the Queen and
if we had a choice.
Yeah, if we could have, tell the Queen take us back. Oh Queen. We sorry, but take us back. We want to be under you. And I used to say that because I felt like the amount of corruption it had in the government, on no matter what party is there, I felt like probably we needed somebody to look over us now, boy, to be over us with the big stick. And But the thing is, how much do you hear about plenty corruption in those countries?
Well, I mean, I've never been to any other than St. Martin. But I think I could say from, observation, research, looking at these things that most of them are much nicer places than here, right? I don't know about corruption. Corruption exists everywhere,
right?
But and corruption is not even the issue. I think it's the mismanagement,
right,
of the nation's resources. I think that is what if you're considering the alternative, if we did not become independent, then that's the major difference that you're examining. Would we have been as grossly mismanaged had we been under them? I don't believe so. And when you think of, as I say, I mean, I've only been to St. Martin, but I'm sure you have a perception of places like BVI, USVI. You think those places are worse off than Trinidad? I mean, considering they're very, very tiny territories and they're dependent on tourism and so on. But, in general, looking at those places, do you feel those places are less harmonious than Trinidad?
Nah, but...
You think you'd prefer to live in Cayman Islands than here?
If I was making good money, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, if I was making good money, I mean, I don't want to go there and be a squatter. Or...
Because those places have real high cost of living.
Yeah, them is expensive.
Yeah.
Really expensive. But I always believe, like, for here, we weren't mature enough as a people. We weren't mature enough. Our leaders, because the leaders came from here, they weren't mature enough to manage the money that we had and the resources that we had. In my opinion, that is how I felt for many years. I always say we have a Chris Brown kind of syndrome and Justin Bieber kind of syndrome that way. We get plenty money
young
when
stars.
we were real young, and
child stars,
and we just wild and crazy.
Ezra Miller,
and that's how I feel still, and so I don't know.
Listen, it's hard to argue with what is the reality. Like I just asked you, point blank, if you would prefer to live in those places. I would prefer to live in St. Martin. Now, I mean, obviously there's some trade-off. It is a very tiny place, and it's had nothing else to do but gamble and go strip clubs. So I don't know what I would do for fun. But it's kind of like living in Tobago. There's and would I prefer to live in St. Martin and Tobago? Yeah, the infrastructure is, from what I was able to see, was much better. Things seem to work better. Just like Tobago's tourism dependent, but the quality of service in St. Martin was 100,000 times better. There's a lot of natural beauty. I mean, it's not the first place, if you ask me, Spinny Globe and stuff. But if you ask me, would I prefer to live there, considering, is the location and is geographically similar climate, everything, small island. Yeah, I'd prefer to live in those places. So I guess that answers the question.
You see, the thing is, one of the biggest set of debates is had on TikTok for the last few weeks. I think I was telling you about that, where we were talking about, people were trying to say that some people might be ungrateful for the things, a lot of the things that have here, whatever the case may be, right? But, and I stick to the point where, listen, somebody else might hold on to, right here, that means the world to you here. It could be, and it could have a thing here that person not willing to deal with.
Right.
So whether it might be healthcare. Some here have free healthcare. Well, quote unquote, free healthcare, right? Because at the end of the day, we pay for it.
We pay for it,
right? But here have quote unquote free healthcare. I'd be like, yeah, but if somebody have money and could afford to pay for healthcare, and you feel safe, because that's the next thing. Here, when they get money, let me say have money and they could afford to pay for healthcare here. Now we have to wonder who watching your money to look to take care. You understand what I'm saying? Look to take you, look to take your things, you understand what I'm saying? Because crime is a serious issue here. Mismanagement of funds is a serious issue here. Things like where I live, we still have a water a water schedule.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is a bit wild. I think to be living on an island, 60 years old, that would have seen anybody work out how much money we have, the country in revenue and whatever we have seen in the 60 years. Obviously, it's billions of US dollars, right? Billions, right? Still had to be on water schedule. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
is it that, I mean, the government is going to give people water tanks? You know, it's because, I mean, something like water, I should be getting. I should be getting water. I'd rather make sure and buy a tank and whatever, because it's water. And I'm willing to pay for the water. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even if you're like, okay, well, boy, I had to pay $200 more and you'll get water right through. I will be willing to pay the $200 more to get water right through. You understand?
And you don't live in an area that is not zoned for residential living. It's not like if you're living in some unregistered land.
Yeah, it's not like you're squatting and living in a HC development.
In a developed area.
It'll be NHE. But in a government.
Managed by the HC.
Yeah.
So,
right? And so I don't think I should be fighting up for things like water now where you saying, boy, I had to wash some clothes. Well, water does come on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so I gotta wait till Saturday, boy, to wash the clothes. You understand? And then it had some bacchanal.
The pipe.
Yeah, some pipe had to fix.
In Valencia.
Yeah, so then you end up now, well, all right, these days, and you understand what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, I understand a pipe had to fix. Some inconvenience. But then, we talking about you're facing inconvenience every day, and then they come to add more inconvenience.
And I mean, let's be honest. It's almost every day I see an advisory about breaking service. So yes, you mentioned that when a pipe busts or something, it had to be that should be a rarity, but it's not. It's not. Almost every week I see some interruption of service advisory coming from WASA or TNTEC.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So what really going on?
Right.
What really going on? Why we can't get the utilities up and running properly? We were swimming in money up until 2014. Where now everybody excuses. The excuses when they had money, the excuse was they had other things were important, and now the excuse is we don't have the money. And then when the money come back again,
something else could be important. Yeah.
And ultimately, because as I was talking to you, as you were talking, I thought of instantly of Barbados and how you and I have talked about this before. How you tell people in Barbados about water schedule and like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? So, and I was thinking, Barbados they gained independence around the same time as us. I think they took a lot longer to obtain republicanism.
They not get to republic last year.
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah,
right. All right, cool. But they were an independent nation up until around the same time we gained our independence, right? So it's not to say that the presence of the monarchy is what kept them in line, because they have been running their own affairs for quite some time. And they're not like us. What I mean? They're not like us. So it's not like if, all the colonies that were let go around the same time went down the same rabbit hole, no disrespect to Jamaica, but you could probably put Trinidad and Jamaica in the category of, I don't want to call Trinidad and Tobago a basket case country because people might get offended by that. And it might be an exaggeration. But Trinidad and Jamaica, I think, were the two that went in the wrong or who veered off the path most.
And the thing about it is, and I was talking to somebody recently, and what they're saying is with Jamaica, even though Jamaica a little shaky too, right? They tell you to get things done is still way easier now. Like they make a lot of things easier to do in Jamaica still.
I wouldn't doubt
right?
that,
Like even things they do with government, it's still way easier than here. Plenty things they just make it much easier. Even like to get a firearm user's license, it's much easier. There's no room for for bribe and corruption, anything like that, right? So the Samsung life, I know, Yeah, so the thing is, even though they might be a little wonky, like you were telling me, it must be about 10 years before phone number porting
was possible here.
Jamaica,
in Jamaica.
they were doing it Long before.
Time. Yeah. In terms of and internet banking was there a lot more, and in Barbados too, long before it was here. So they've had that could be as a result in the case of Jamaica in particular. That's a larger market, so you would say it would have been the companies would have been more incentivized to invest in developing the infrastructure because they had more to gain because it's a larger market, more profit, so on and so forth. But in terms of the attitude of the people, I think that is what has held us and them back.
Right.
And the thing is, people might want to blame, in Trinidad and Tobago, might want to blame it on the fact that we biracial, essentially, right? We have two major ethnic groups, and that might have been the source of our problems. But Jamaica didn't face that, right? Jamaica is more homogenous than anything else. It's more African than anything else. And they had worse political issues than us. You know what I mean? They had a lot more way more political violence than we have had, So it has to be something about the attitudes of the people, and what they're willing to put up with, what they, when we were talking to your brethren from Grenada, and he was mentioning, yes, Keith Mitchell was there for quite some time. He had his followers, he had his devotees and everything. But once someone appeared that was, presenting himself as something different at a time when something different was required, it was easy.
Right, yeah.
It was easy. You know what I mean? Yes, we voted out parties here before we voted the PNM out. But I don't know, that just seems like a real temporary thing. And then we always revert back to...
Well, as I tell people, and it's something I've been hearing, I'm talking about for a while, but you're not hearing it happening, right? Which is the campaign financing reform, right? What was the whole name for the thing? Which included campaign financing. It was a whole name for a whole thing, right? The direction in which campaign financing has reached in Trinidad and Tobago, it makes it almost impossible for a third force or a third party, I don't say third force, for a next party to compete.
No, but you don't even need a next party because that guy just became the leader of an existing party.
True. But you see, I think is even quite a similar thing because if the people who are spending money don't want you to lead the UNC, even though you might be the best person to lead the UNC, you can't lead the UNC.
Listen, I understand that, but it ultimately comes down to the attitude of the people and what they demand from the leaders. You sent me a video this week here with Dr. Rowley engaging in his usual type of behavior on our platform, talking about how he spend money keeping us alive, right? Now, I don't know who he was talking about when he said they only study in potholes, right? So I had to assume he's responding to the fact that maybe some opposition member or something or somebody he's considering to be an antagonist is complaining about the quality of the roads in the country. Now, forget, where he spend money keeping we alive. That statement in and of itself is already so patently asinine that it don't even make sense going into that, right? But before he gets to that point, he again starts off as if you are complaining about potholes, something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Something wrong with you. And this is he goes on to say that the state of the roads, has deteriorated.
Yeah.
He goes, so he's admitting that the government falling short, right? So it's not like he's not even contesting that the person is lying or exaggerating. Whoever it is he's talking about, whoever he finds is overly concerned about potholes, but he's just saying, "Oh God, what happened? He's studying pothole.
I keep it alive, boy."
So we must be eternally grateful to him and bow and accept whatever excuse he gives us. And so you're going to study the pothole on them now, or is it too? How long we had to wait? 6 years, 7 years, 8 years? When now? Why I point that out is okay. That's what he does, But why do we accept that?
Yeah.
Why do we because all of that not necessary. Like, bro, the thing I need to fix. All you need to say is, all right, well, even if yes, I know sometimes because the people you might be responding to is clowns too, so you might feel like it's just clown thing them on, but that's the point.
But the thing is, you're responding to them, but you're responding to what they said, but you're talking to us.
Yes, you're talking to me,
right?
Exactly.
So don't try to clown me too now, boy.
Exactly.
Right? And I think that, I mean, we said it in I think the last episode, because he just want to behave like he's a parent now, boy. Like he's a parent. So you come and say, go mommy, I just wanted a nice little birthday party.
Yeah.
So you didn't see all the money I spent on your school shoes and your school books and them. You didn't see the money I spent on that. You had to send it to school. You come in about party.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That is how he's responding to us.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't he? Because we dotish and we just take it. Because the people who were sitting in the crowd, whoever rally or meeting he was at, how did they react? Did they react like, oh God, what shit you on, boy? Oh God, you come to talk about the issues, talk about the issues. You know what I mean? You could simply say, listen, for those who are concerned about the state of the roads, the government accepts that, over the past couple of years, we have not been able to invest as much as we should have in maintaining the roads. Just be mindful that during that time, we were obviously in the midst of a pandemic, so the government might have had different priorities. But we will get on it ASAP.
Yeah, I mean, two other major things that came out of that situation is the situation where he come and talk when he say, if he get a horn, he could take it. But at least he go send nobody. I was like...
No, but again, I don't mind that one because that is Pekong going at Pekong.
Right, no, listen, my thing is... That
is not the nation's issues.
Right. And that is my issue now. Like, horse... To me... I found it real funny, right? Of
course,
it was a very good clapback.
Of course,
let me say that.
It was the most inevitable. When you send me the video with Anil, I say, oh God, dog, he ship it all. He going and make an issue of that. He must expect that in return. But go ahead, yeah.
Right? I think it was a great clapback. But I just wasn't ready for it now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When I say no, I don't hear that. Let me start to give some issues now.
Right.
Then the next thing that came out of that is he talking about Guy Griffith being the worst.
Being the biggest mistake he
made.
Yeah.
I think that is wild too, boy.
It is, again, because we can't stop politicking. Everything is a personal issue. But I mean, again, I kind of understand where this come from because the fella he responding to is another one who is insistent on ventilating issues in the public, right? And always interested in getting support from people. And so the other, Gary, you would feel the need to respond to him because he don't stop talk. Right? So going as far as to say all that nonsense about him being the biggest mistake, I mean, considering the myriad of mistakes they made in the handling of the pandemic, which were far more impactful on the average citizen than anything Gary Griffith could have done while he was, or not done while he was the police commissioner. It just, again, it goes to show how patently asinine what he's saying is. But it's coming from a personal thing, it's a beef. And now he have a public rab with, a former police commissioner. But him saying that and then going on to talk about and try to imply that, this fight, the firearm, the presence of firearms is again, he does this a lot too. Politicians do, but he does it a lot. He likes to claim that you are saying things that you aren't saying. So he'll straw man your argument to make it easier to argue against, right? Nobody said that the solution to crime was handing out guns. Nobody said that. So to argue that it is foolish for somebody to think that to solve crime, we just have to give out guns. You aren't arguing with anybody who's real. You argue with the straw man in your brain. And the idiots who you're talking to will be like, yeah, you see, them stupid, you can't just hand out. Who was saying that? Who was arguing that? Who at what point in time did anybody make that statement?
Right.
You know what I mean? But he does all of this political grandstanding. And instead of the people of the nation saying, dog, pause on that now. We know all that mama guy thing.
Because the thing is, a lot of people are trying to tell me about the alleged corruption in the FUL thing, right?
The license granting.
Yeah, right? And I will tell anybody, we'll lock up somebody now. Right?
If there was corruption.
Gary was involved in that. Lock him up. Lock him up.
If nobody get locked up, and apparently nobody even lost their work, then what are we talking about? What we talking about is accusation. And there are lots of accusations.
They have accusations against him.
Yes.
Being the prime minister.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So,
lots of accusations flying around. Unless somebody get locked up, then we're not talking about anything.
Right.
We're not talking about anything.
We just playing politics.
No.
This one is just jumping around. The cat there jumping around the kitchen.
And these aren't quiet. So yeah, we're not talking about anything unless at this stage, look how long it's been in the report was produced. It has been investigated fully. Well, no, not fully. It's the investigation apparently still ongoing. But until if it's been going on this long, not a charge laid, I ain't seen nobody handcuffs yet.
I see they're trying to trace bills now, I
don't know.
I see they're doing bill tracer now to see. But
and I mean, now is it that it was impossible for Gary to be involved in some sort of racket like that? No. I don't know Gary Griffith. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can't vouch for the man. But I'm saying until we see these, because I mean the accusations are being made. If they have any credibility, it shouldn't be hard,
exactly,
to produce some sort of evidence, and reach the stage where at least somebody could get
charged.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, charge somebody, and then we go to court.
Yeah.
And put it in front of a jury or whatever the case may be, and we see how it goes from there.
Yeah. And then the public could make their own assessment of, what went on in that situation, how trustworthy any of the parties are. But until that's the case, what are we talking about? And so because of that, you are insinuating that appointing probably one of the most popular police commissioners in my lifetime.
Right, yeah. I mean, I heard about Burroughs.
Right. I'm trying, there's another name that's slipping my mind. Jules Bernard. He was kind of popular too. But I don't think any of them were as popular and well liked while in the position as Gary Griffith. No, that's not to say he's doing not good work.
Yeah,
but the point is, you are trying to insinuate that this is this person who people really liked. You know what I mean? Was the worst appointment you've. Now think of the amount of different. To be fair, he didn't make those appointments because I was going to say, think of the amount of state agencies that have been run by incompetent buffoons since they took over or took back the reins, right? And he's pointing to one of them who if you ask the average member of the public, I mean, even if you didn't think he was a hero, he was a police commissioner. What you do bad?
What went on with the tourism? Remember they had split up the
TDC.
To go to one for Trinidad
and one for
and they
up to now they're not operational.
Yeah.
But that's not a mistake.
Nah, that's not a mistake. That's not one of the biggest mistakes you ever make.
No. And again, but I mean, all of that would have happened under him, and he would have had to approve it, right? So he might not have engineered the decision, but again, it was something that happened under him that is still to bear fruit.
Because he's the head of the cabinet.
Yeah, exactly.
That was some big decisions.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? To break up the TDC and split it in two
and do it, which, all the fanfare was because it was supposed to streamline the management of tourism and bring and bear fruit for the people of Trinidad and Tobago by seeing, without in very short order, seeing tourism industry blossom, right? The one in Trinidad had about 5 CEOs. They just keep firing them. None of them could see eye to eye with the minister. Whoever the minister is, now is Randall Mitchell, but before, who it was before?
I don't know. I don't pay attention. I'm fed up.
But so what really going on?
Right?
What really going on?
And coming out of a pandemic when people were more excited than anything else to travel, we still can't get we shit together.
Yeah.
Because this will take certain, promotions going on outside to invite people to come here, put in certain things with infrastructure in place to accommodate and to welcome people.
Yeah.
But
the THA had to come in now and thing up the carnival and do their own thing and go and link with Grenada. And they're doing more apparently for Tobago tourism than central government through the Ministry of Tourism. But, that's not a mistake.
Yeah, and I mean, that is one we point out because
it's a million of them.
Yeah.
As I tell you, look at the handling of the pandemic. Now, I know they feel that they were star boys, right? I know that they feel that was the case. But anybody with, who not wearing Balizé tinted glasses would at least be able to admit that their mismanagement of the border.
Yeah. And still mismanaged.
You can't sound what I'm saying.
Right?
And that's the next thing I was reading in the papers today, how, now that the pandemic is over, now that the pandemic is winding down, according to Terence Day saying, the Venezuelans are on the move again. Right? So, because during the pandemic, they because economic opportunities were so limited elsewhere, it didn't really make no sense busting out. But now that it appears that things are winding down, they're on the move, and the numbers leaving the country are once again building up.
Right.
So we'll see, most likely, we'll begin to see a number of them soon. More of them soon.
More?
Yeah, because they say 6.8 million have left Venezuela since the start of the crisis in 2013 or 14 or whatever. And over the past 3 months, the numbers have quadrupled in terms of people crossing the border. Now, obviously not all into Trinidad, different places, but the numbers who are picking up and leaving is beginning to pick up again because the opportunities are now opening up once more now, and people are less stringent on how they control the borders now that the pandemic is
winding down.
Yeah, according to Terence Day saying, apparently winding down. So.
But while we touching on the independence things happening and whatever the case may be, based on my understanding, I heard that most of the opposition decided to boycott the independence celebration.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I don't feel no way about that. I mean, how I feel about it. Like if I feel it was just, I don't know. I didn't know about that until you mentioned it just now. So I don't know what was the reason behind it.
Apparently, there's only one man show up from the opposition, which is some councillor
to what?
The thing in Port of Spain.
Okay.
Right.
The parade at
yeah.
Okay.
Right. Which was some Samuel Sanka dude.
All right. I saw an article entitled "He Broke Ranks."
Yeah.
He was the same one who went to the meeting
I think
before.
That was
he claimed he didn't know that they wasn't supposed to go.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Oh, so he trying to make his way into the PNM.
Well, the thing is,
clearly,
I'm hearing people saying that it's not that, but he is trying to play a different type of politics. He's trying to show a different type of
politics. Trying to be like Vassan Barrett.
Well, I guess.
Trying to show he could be in the fold but above the fold.
Right, yeah.
He has sense.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't like to work for him. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't think it'll work for me either, right?
Good luck with that.
Right? But yeah.
I don't think people want a different kind of politics. That is the problem.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They just don't they can't get at through the thick skulls that people don't want a different kind of politics.
We were having a discussion yesterday in the mix, and let me be real, it's only about 10% of this population would be the population with that more advanced type of thinking and wanting to see that difference, whereas the rest
they like it. Like
this bacchanal and lacquerie and this shipness.
They like it.
But the thing is, however, I don't know if I feel comfortable with them. No, obviously we hear about this now, and it could be because somebody pushing, everybody pushing. But I remember seeing Basilio Pandey and Manning at those celebrations at the same time, shaking hand, and being cordial.
Mm-hmm. But you've seen this bunch of that too. This bunch is not class and be cordial at all sorts of different things. It's just this. If they didn't, what you're talking about, just they didn't show up there. They took this opportunity to grandstand. They took this up because I saw in the Monday Night Forum, that is where Kamala was talking about when she's saying how don't let the PNM fool you, them didn't fight for no independence. The British was letting we go wherever. She was quite fiery in her whole admonition of the PNM and insisting that we don't have anything to celebrate at this stage because we are being oppressed by the PNM. So maybe that is the political point she was trying to make by boycotting the celebrations.
I think there's a big stance to take, boy.
Why? It's all just optics.
True.
It's all just you feel them care. It's just all right. Okay, so what we could do to stir up some controversy and and I would have did. I don't think it was like some big, like they're turning their back on. I don't feel them care about Trinidad and Tobago. Period.
I'm right. No, don't get me wrong. I feel that same way. But my thing is, fool we now, boy. Like the people who are on the fence, the people who the undecided, right?
No, well, they would say that they do care, and that's why they're not showing up because they are trying to. This prime minister has taken the country down the toilet, and he must be stopped. And we must rebel in every way, shape, or form. We must show resistance to him and his nonsense.
Yeah, but
because I'm sure it's not that they didn't. She probably put out an independence message, and they probably had something of their own, but they just didn't show up at the government thing.
So, and I think that is them once again, where they're stupid, retarded, repeated mistakes of trying to impress or trying to please their crowd alone, because. Some of the people, I think a lot of the people who might be the independents in the situation, right? Independent voters or the right or the
unaligned
unaffiliated, right?
You're unaffiliated.
I think they might be more patriotic, or the decision might be more patriotic than anything else.
No, but I don't think anybody with sense, because okay, I get what you're trying to say, right? But if I am truly unbiased, let's say I'm ready to have a dog in this fight, and I hear the opposition and them boycotting the Independence Day celebration, the first question I ask is why, and then I'll hear her point. And I'll be like, all right, cool, because they're not saying we don't like Trinidad, they're not saying we don't care about Trinidad, they're not saying we don't care about independence, they're saying we aren't part of Trinidad and Tobago. They're saying, listen, we think that this independence is there's nothing to celebrate because this man and his band of incompetence, they're driving the country into the ground. So we're not going to be part of the mama guy, the show celebration.
We're not joining the circus.
Exactly. That would be her reason. And it's for you, if you are really truly unbiased, to make, okay, I see where she's coming from. I still feel she should have go, but I don't take it now to mean that she hates Trinidad. But if you're pretending to be unbiased, but you're really biased, then you'd be like, well, why is she a thing? You see that? I can't take that. Because you're really a PNM. What you really are is a PNM, right? But if you just pretend to be like, I think, I'm above the fray. And no. If you take it without even asking, okay, so what's the reason why? Why did she not go? What was the explanation? What was the excuse?
Because for me, if I was leading a political party, especially a political party who might, who could have some little I'll say in the race. Even if I ain't show up in the savannah, I'll probably show up, and when they start to parade the streets, I parade in the streets with my party, and me and my members, and we shaking hand, we kissing babies.
But what did they do? Did they do anything at all?
Nah, boy. Not to my knowledge. They probably, that's a UNC thing. I know I didn't get the email. I'm on the email list. You understand?
Well, okay. If they did absolutely nothing, then then again is trying to play optics but not understanding optics.
Yeah.
Which is their Achilles heel, where they don't understand. They can't read the room, as we always say, right? So they're trying to play an optics game but not investing fully. So you're right. If they did absolutely nothing, then it would look bad. It would look like what the people who hate you already believe, which is that you don't care about Trinidad and Tobago, you only care about people of a particular race.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And so I was coming out there, and I mightn't come and shake hands with you and fake it, you know. But I let any people see me now, boy. I let any people see me connecting with the people, and I vibes with the people. You understand what I'm saying? I let any the policemen and them know, hey, boy, thanks for the service, boy, dog, boy. Let any Coast Guard and them, even though you say they're killing babies. Right? This might have been a good time to apologize. You know? Hey, well, everything. I was in heat at the moment. I jump out and I see something, but hey, much love, fellas. Think, but whatever, yes, boy. Boy, I didn't even know how much you want to dig up in this so much.
What, the independence thing?
Yeah, if we...
Well, I mean, I just want to essentially close off. If we closing off on the topic, I want to insist that, and I guess we, in doing what we do here, we try to play our part. But we had to wise up as a nation fast, because we're not going anywhere. We spinning top in mud. We have to demand more of all the, because listen, we are in a situation here where we need people who know what they're doing.
Right.
We need people who know what they're doing. And who know what they're doing, not from the, because we have people who know what they're doing in terms of how to win votes.
Right.
Right. But we need people who know what they're doing in terms of how to manage the situation.
And that is why I don't know how I feel, because I don't know if we could find them people here.
No, I think those people exist. I think there are lots of people here who can manage this situation. Not tons, but there are quite a few people. But getting involved in the political circus is not something many of them want to do. And unfortunately, without your hands on the levers of power, you could feel like you're toiling in vain now. Right?
Right.
So most people wouldn't want to give of themselves. You know, there are people like Rondell Fields and them who have the organizations and doing a little bit to help or whatever. But to turn this behemoth around, this ship, it was a tiny nation, but you know, you could, it's a, in terms of the problems we have, it's like a cruise ship to turn. It takes people who know what they're doing, and people who want to change, and everybody out here just safeguarding their work.
Right, yeah.
Everybody just, from the ministers, the PSs, everybody just don't want any boss man vex, because they want to keep their work, right? And so everybody is approaching their job with that in mind, and the politicians in general, all they're studying is the votes and what people saying on social media. And I think, and that's another reason why it's going to be hard, because social media exists, because we see what social media has done to everything, what it's done to media, traditional media, that is, what it's done to politics, and how politics is, I mean, to some extent, politics has always been about brinksmanship and gamesmanship and grandstanding. But I think what social media has done now is that it's made the politicians hypersensitive to what everybody have to say, right? So now nothing is done for the purpose of just doing it. Everything is how we go look.
Right. You know, it's a popularity contest.
it's always been a popular, but it's played in a different way now. Because now it's almost like they're paralyzed by social media. If they do something and Twitter explode or Facebook explode, and so everything is about optics as opposed to just, okay, this is how the situation is managed. These are the things. This is the situation. These are the steps we need to take to rectify it. Well, let's do them. Yeah, but if we do that, and they go look this way, and they go look that way, and I was listening to one of the press conferences recently, the tail end of it, with I guess it was conducted by the Ministry of Health, and Terence Dayal Singh was there, and I realized I've been hearing and seeing that Dr. Abdullah lady, a lot more often than I see Parasuram anymore. Is that he's no longer the CM?
No, I don't know.
Right, but I was just saying to myself that there's a difference in the tones that Dr. Abdullah lady and Parasuram. When Parasuram was there, I mean, yes, you could tell him and the government are trying to speak in one voice, but he really used to address the issues from a kind of just, these are the facts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He didn't seem to think it was his job to encourage people to do anything or not encourage people to do anything. It was just like, okay, these are the measures. This is the information. This is what he was the expert there to provide the information.
Right.
And the politicians, they have their own, they have their messaging and they have the thing, the page that they're all supposed to speak from and their talking points and whatever. He seemed, to me, his tone generally was not...
I think I mentioned this sometime before. He would go and talk, and now and again you realize, good boy, like, something I say here might offend them.
Right. Yeah.
Not like a comment to talk in one way.
Right.
A comment to say what is good, and then he go kind of...
Yeah, right. Yeah. That ain't singing from them hymn book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You understand? So the man sharp, kind of change a little bit. That is what I got from him many times. Right? Like, God boy, that go upset them, boy. Yeah. And I come to say, you understand what I'm saying? But after the fact, not like he came with something planned from them to say.
That woman, on the other hand, is almost like she and Terence Dayal Singh is, two hands on the same body. You hear him speak, you hear her speak, they speak in the same language and tone. One is an actual doctor. Right. Next one is a pharmacist, as far as I'm aware, right? He's not a doctor. But they sound the same. Why is that? And why is it that she's so prevalent these days? It's probably because of that.
Right.
It's probably because this... Now, I don't know the woman. I don't know. I'm not trying to impugn her integrity or anything like that. But I feel as if that is why she is more prominent now. Because that's what's more important to them.
Right.
Because that's what politics is now. Optics, constant. They don't stop campaigning. That's why you can't have remember they did that to I was real pleased when I heard Reginald
Amor.
Yeah, Amor in the at the press conference, because it was just business. It was just, hey, listen, this was the problem. Cabinet took these measures. Cabinet, met to discuss measures. These are the measures. This is what we're gonna do. This is how long it's gonna last. End of story. Right? Fitzgerald Hines was before. Fitzgerald Hines was Fitzgerald Hines. Yeah. Right? But it was so refreshing to hear somebody conduct a press conference by just, this is the info, bro. But that's very rare. And that's not just in Trinidad.
Yeah.
You watch American politics, same thing. Same thing. They just don't stop. They don't stop. It's always...
They're taking anything and spinning anything across there.
They don't stop. Exactly. They don't stop trying to spin. They don't talk in just plain language. They have these talking points that they rigidly hold on to. You can ask them a question and they don't want to answer a question. They just want to bring it back to talking points. Like, when did this become acceptable? Where you can ask people questions, they don't really answer, they just walk around in a circle to get you back to what they want to, the message they came there to give you. It's like, what is this? Why do we accept this? But it is what it is. And until we as a nation wake up and grow up we head into hell in a handbasket.
Anyhow, I was wondering something the other day. Is it with like short form content becoming more and more prevalent? Why people don't want to think deeper? You understand? People like, and they also, because obviously we have a certain amount of polarization. But what I've realized too is that if you listen to people longer, you wouldn't feel you wouldn't reach that polarized state as fast. You understand? You would listen and you would, all right, I ain't agree with this and I agree with that. But now you find politicians, they try to speak in the short form kind of in soundbite type of way.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. And sticking to talking points.
So they kind of removing things like nuance. They're removing, because when you add nuance, you kind of add understanding and empathy and these kind of things.
Yeah.
And now it's like, nah, we nearly going to that, you know.
I don't know if it's because of short form content or because of like social media and like technology in general making our attention span shorter. I just think it's with the growth of a kind of a managerial class and them attaching themselves to politics. Because I think what is happening is a bunch of communication experts are getting involved in, and they're sitting with people and they're training you. This is you stick to one message, and this is how you get your message across. You're unequivocal. If they ask you a question, you pivot and you come back to this. And you know what I'm saying? There are a bunch of people who are now involved in this process whose concern is not governance.
Right.
You as
not people
or what? Exactly. Their job is to train you to handle the media, right? Not to train you to deal with people or to do your work better. You as the profession, you as the politician, you're supposed to be doing like, hey, listen. Nah, I want to answer the question because I want to educate the people. But these professionals now that are involved in the political process and in almost everything now. Everybody have a communications expert and a PR, this and that. So these people are making it, they are making this circus is almost like wrestling, like professional American. It's like they don't even care that you know it's fake. You know, you watch American politics in particular. They asked Joe Biden a question the other day about this loan forgiveness thing that he wanted to do, right?
10,000.
Yeah. And the person, the member of the press asked, so hear this now. You think it's fair to people who paid off their loans or people who went to university without taking loans to now be forgiven, debt? And he says something about you think it's fair that corporations have tax havens or some kind of, and that was that. I said, what does that have to do with?
Yeah.
But what is that? That is, well, I have my talking points. I talk in talking points. You know, these are the people that, the people I'm speaking to is not the American people. It's my supporters. It's the donor, whoever.
And whoever vexed with Trump and them and
right.
the quote unquote tax havens.
Right.
So it's like here going on. They just come and talk in a way. It's happening right here in Trinidad.
Yes.
Where is I talking to my people and a region war on next to people.
Yes.
And that is it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm ever doing is addressing my political opponents.
Right.
Or my base.
Yeah.
That's the only I'm never talking to people.
Yeah.
They don't come on those platforms to talk to people like you and me.
Yeah.
They ain't talking to we. They either talking to their base or they're battling the opposition. And we have just accepted that. And we have just come to, well, yeah, that's theater. Like wrestling, yeah, I know it's fake, and I know I believe he care about me, but I'm going to be real invested in it. Like, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm a Stone Cold fan because, I know that fight fake, but I'm going to talk about it like when he and The Rock fight, like boy, that was an epic fight. It was fake. You know it was fake. Then everybody knows that is fake. They know they are fake. They know the whole process is fake. But for some reason, you're saying why people like to think. I think it's because they love. They get something out of buying into it. It's kind of like you know wrestling is fake, but you love the the feeling they get of getting emotionally involved.
Yeah.
They love doing that.
It's an emotional game now. It's an emotional game.
Yeah.
And I think anytime something to an emotional game, it can get frightening.
Yeah.
Because
when it's real life things you're talking about, and people are just running their whole MO is emotional. Yeah, that's frightening.
Yeah.
That's frightening.
Right. You want to talk about the gas prices and stuff?
Yes.
In Europe.
Energy prices in Europe. Now, people might think, what the hell, why I want, well, I don't know if you might have wondered, but people might wonder, what does it have to do with us here? A lot. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because it is not something that I'm seeing all politicians mentioning. I haven't, as reading papers often, I'm not seeing any articles being written by economists kind of warning of what's taking place and what it might mean in the future. And I think that is frightening to me.
Right.
That we are kind of thinking that the only issues we're dealing with right now, or only the issues we're dealing with right now are what need to be dealt with, or this is the extent of it. We're just we have spiraling inflation, and we're dealing with building back the economy after COVID, and it's just a matter of seeing all the tough times and things will get better just now. What is happening in Europe is frightening, right? For those who may not know, energy prices in Europe have been skyrocketing. And what that means is that autumn is upon them now, and winter will soon be upon them. And that means that they're going to need energy to heat their homes, right? But because of the fact, mainly, there are multiple different causes, right? Some people blame financial markets because in some ways, we kind of think of oil and gas and these things and the pricing mechanism to be simply supply and demand. But in Europe, it's not, right? It's their prices are actually dictated by these commodities markets that they have constructed, which actually deal with future prices, because that's what the commodities securities actually called, futures, right? But let me stop right there and go down there.
Right.
Long story short is there are different reasons why the gas price, the energy price, that's why. But the main reason is the war in Ukraine and the sanctions placed on Russia, right? The EU and many EU nations have insisted that they must punish Russia for their actions. And that involves, blocking access to European markets. But what that meant in return is that Russia blocked them from their energy in return. And so you're seeing prices climbing exponentially, and they're going to climb even more. Many countries like France, they have already started to ration energy. They've already started to say, they have rules now about when neon lit signs have to come off at a certain time. They're encouraging people to burn biofuel like wood. I think in Germany they some people over there who live in nearby the woods, they are going and getting wood, stocking up on wood so that they could burn for heat during the winter. This is in Germany, bro. In England, pubs and restaurants may have to close over the winter because the energy costs they wouldn't be able to run the business while keeping the place hot or warm, I should say. So what this is the culmination of, remember we talk about, I kind of mentioned this before, that they have been going down this road of going towards zero emissions, right?
Yeah.
Zero carbon emissions, and they're going on that mission, right?
So much so that I think by 2035 they want to ban.
But that's in the US. That's in California. They want to ban all combustion engine vehicles by then.
But I think I saw one in is either in Europe or in England specifically, not all carbon, but at least full carbon. Full,
right. They might have, they want those. So like it will only be hybrid or electric, right? Right. But they have been pursuing this aim for quite some time, and they have been neglecting nuclear energy, which should be part of zero emissions plan, but it's not green energy in their minds. So they have France, Germany, many of them have shut down their nuclear plants. So that's why they're so dependent on the energy coming from Russia. And now that Russia's turned off the pipe, they have issues. So this is that situation coming to a head now over the winter period. And what this is likely to mean, what a lot of people are fearful it will mean, is not an economic collapse, but a seriously trying time in Europe.
The thing is, no, I think a lot of people do know, right? Like, a lot of people do know in houses in England and so forth, it has some people doing better to buy ACs, but what they would make sure and have is heat.
Yes.
That, because that is very, very important to them.
And it would be much more so in places like Northern Europe, Scandinavian countries, because it's much cooler there. And it is normally in the UK. I mean, you could probably survive a winter. Nah, probably not. I was going to say, if you're in London and you're young, and you just, but no, you probably can't. Right? So you need.
So it's a matter of the costs of hydro will.
It's skyrocketing. In some countries, I believe in Poland, they're saying that it could go up as far as by as much as 300%. In the UK, they're estimating that by February next year, the average person would be spending more than 34% of their income on heat,
just on
heating, on energy to keep the place warm. Now, that's started. Why that should be important to us is because we think that, this recovery post-pandemic is just basically a waiting game, just waiting for things to stabilize, economies to get back on track, and then, we will go forward. But if Europe is plunged into, because the Prime Minister of France said today, I think it's today or yesterday, he addressed the people of France to tell them about what was coming, and he said the age of abundance is over. That I don't know about you, but that's stark words there.
Basically tightening a belt.
Yes. Yeah. And of course saying all is necessary to fight for freedom in Ukraine, which I don't know how people are standing for that bullshit. But again, it's kind of like we were talking about before. People don't want to think. The ruling class says that's the good and sophisticated thing to do. So you just like, oh yeah, I'll put my Ukraine banner on my Twitter page, and I'm down for the cause, because that's what the ruling class says I should do. So that's what I should do. But anyway, so if that is going to be happening in Europe, that is going to have a major ripple effect across the global economy. You understand? So America is not facing the same problems yet. I don't know if they ever will, considering what might happen in November. But we have to be very, very mindful of the fact that, I know the EU is not one of our major trading partners per se, but Europe, which, the EU, I think together is probably the third largest economy in the world. If you put or they may be the strongest economy in the world if you put them together, all 27 member states. That region collapsing could be a real problem for us.
Everybody, all how.
Yes, or because the financial markets are all interconnected, we might come to find that and the thing is, some of these countries may need huge bailouts from the IMF. How is that now? Because if those countries need to be bailed out, what's going to happen when the countries that now become bankrupt because they can't trade with them anymore? What's going to happen when they need a bailout? You know, so I think that the fact that that's taking place and nobody seems to care here, at least, because that's crazy. I was talking to my friend in England the other day, and she was like, "Well, she might be taking her mother back to Jamaica for the winter and just." Disconnecting the lights and everything. And her mother chill out in Jamaica for 6 months or whatever.
There we go. If you see you can spend up to 34% of your salary in hydro, then it might be cheaper to rent somewhere in Jamaica.
Well, I mean, she would not rent, but yeah, that's where she's from. That's where her mother's from now. So she would not rent, but it's just, it would be an inconvenience because she takes care of her mother because her mother is in a particular condition. So she would have to trust others to do it, while over there. But it may have to happen. And that is nuts. That is absolutely nuts. And I don't know. I think the fact that we aren't paying attention to it and you're not hearing anybody here, warning of what could come, because that could be a major economic crisis.
We just build whole house in development, then build drain after,
True.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We just build whole house in development and say, where the water go by? Well, I guess we got to run drain here now. Right? So, I mean, I do expect them to be ahead of it. I mean, it's unfortunate because, as I say, you expect the economists and them.
I would expect. You'd see some articles in the papers. Some people want, what's this man Roger Hussein? You're expecting to see him. Maybe he's beyond the news. Maybe and I don't see it. But I would expect to see articles, talking about the dark winter that's coming in Europe and how it is likely to affect us. Because, like I say, this could cause all sorts of craziness in Europe, because if the people finally decide, this shit, dog, I didn't sign up for this. Yeah, you tell me green energy, but I didn't tell me I would starve to death while
or it going to cost me way more. For your plan.
Yeah, because in England right now there's a campaign, a don't pay or stop paying or something like that, right? But I think it's 200,000 signatures to get so far. I started like 3 days ago to not pay the bills now, the heating bills.
They get more signatures than the people who signed to ban Andrew Tate, yes?
Did they get a petition for that?
Yeah.
Did a petition for
that?
But
only about 50-something thousand people.
Oh, okay. But yes, well, they get more than that. So if that happens, then you could have real civil unrest in some of these places. Then people might just wake up and be like, "Hey, yo, these people we voting in, they're just not taking us on. They're doing what they want. They aren't. In the UK, they're voting in conservative government and they're just not governing conservatively. You know what I mean? It's doing what they want. So how is that gonna? So if it leads to unrest, if it leads to civil disobedience and some political upheaval, again, this is Europe. Yes, it's not the US, it's not China, but it's a major, major player on the world stage, on the world economic stage. And we should be concerned about what's going to happen over there when men have to decide, do I heat my house or do I feed my children? That could happen. And as I say, I'm not exaggerating, because when you hear the leaders of those places talk, it's like, whoa, them scaring me. You know what I mean? It's like, what you call him the other day was, Boris Johnson was essentially letting people know, yeah, tough times. While still sending money to Ukraine. By the way, while still sending money to help Ukraine. He's telling British people, yeah, tough times ahead, tough times ahead. And some of them are even implying that, well, on the way to we kind of had to go through this anyway, so we might as well rip off the Band-Aid now, because on the way to zero emissions, it was always going to be.
Yeah, we will get some like so.
You had to crack some eggs, right? To make the omelette.
Well, I know that is one of the biggest controversies when it comes to the zero emissions thing. Like, trying to do it as fast as they want to do it will definitely cause a great deal of harm.
Yes.
And discomfort and
yes.
A lot of people have been saying this. A lot of people have been saying
Not
this.
enough though. Not enough people don't say it.
Well, when I say, I mean a lot of people. When I say a lot, not thousands, but a lot of people who we would watch on YouTube and
Yeah.
So, to me, I just be ready to see how these things unfold. That's why at this.
Listen, I'm normally not a person that is given to fear. I tend to have this outlook like, this could be a thing for a while and then it'll blow over. I think until people wake up, we are going to hell in a handbasket, and people are just kind of, again, because all we like to do is talking points, and we all just concerned about getting applause on social media. So, nobody's stopping and thinking, because if you mention this, to anybody, they'll be like, but green energy is the thing and that's where we need to go. All right, cool. But do you understand that transition, if it is to happen as quickly as they're attempting to make it happen? And the other thing is, they're doing these things at a point in time when they're trying their best to control. You mentioned Andrew Tate just now, him being banned. No, he's, he wasn't banned for this purpose, but they're doing all in their power to control, quote unquote, misinformation, right? About it. So what that means is that at a point in time when it may become really crucial that people understand the trade-offs of some of these things that they're mentioning, they are cracking down on the information you could get your hands on.
But I wouldn't doubt that is part of the reason why they ban him too. Because
now he does say not people with more sense than he does say.
What I'm saying is, because he just real talk about them things too, But
yes, I know.
That's not the clips that is
that's what I'm saying. And that's not why he's popular.
But the thing
and there are people who are far more influential than him that speak about those things.
Right, but I think is we making examples now.
Well,
if all keep on getting out of line,
yes,
right, no matter how big you think you are,
yes,
we will silence you.
Yes, it is about example setting. That is for sure. It is letting you know that and in the case of him, he would have made it easy by being loose with how he's talk, right? So they could easily take things and put it out of context and whatever, right? Although so many things weren't really out of context. He might say he was joking, but even when you see the whole clip, no, that's kind of what you're saying. It's kind of saying, if you wake up and you're angry at your girlfriend, you should be able to hit our cloud.
I never hear him say that, and nothing I have ever.
No, I saw the clip. That's one of the clips that they identified, right? And he kept saying, people kept saying, if you saw the clip and it's whole thing, and it's like, yeah, I saw the clip. Nah, that's what he said. And he might have been exaggerating, or in his mind, he might have been, he might say, but I didn't really mean that, I'm not saying that, your girlfriend did nothing wrong and you should just, slap in the head or whatever. But those were the words you said. And if you want to be making statements in public, you need to be at least a little bit more careful than that, because you need to make it clearer that you're joking or whatever, right? But anyway, the point is that he made it easy for them by being real loose in some of the things he was saying. And it's almost like getting a drug dealer on tax evasion. What we really don't like is you waking up men, right? Because, I know you would point to the fact that he's had philosophical discussions as well. But those aren't the things that, that's not what propels him into, the mainstream. But I think what they don't want any opposition to the direction that we go in. The direction is, we set the tone in terms of what is acceptable in how you treat women, the narrative that surrounds women. That's what they're afraid of crumbling. They don't want the narrative that women are a constantly oppressed species. They don't want that narrative being contested in any way, shape, or form. You understand? Because that's the direction we're going in. And we tell you what's okay. We tell you how to behave. We tell you how to respond to our grievances, not meaning feminists necessarily, the people who rule our culture, right? We tell you what to do. And he is throwing a spanner in them works. So they found something that and pretended like if that's what they're offended by, right? And because it's when you say the words, it sounds like, he's encouraging violence against women. As I say, it's like getting a drug deal on tax evasion. It's not really the crime, but it's the thing that you could easily prove.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Because he realized up against COVID, real dread, You understand?
Well, almost everybody in that space, in that red pill, I guess you could call it right wing space. That's what I'm saying. The things he would have said outside of his woman, and things that anybody else isn't saying. You know what I mean? But again, I take your point that he has opinions other than just those things.
But I think, as I say, the point of banning him wasn't necessarily to ban him. I think the point, it was to ban him. But what I'm saying is to let people know, if you come out, if you start to call outside the line, you will get put back. You will get thrown out of the class.
And I think that this is worse than Alex Jones, because Alex Jones, at least the things you could have pointed to with him were extremely off key.
And it ended up in court, and he lose court cases over some of those things.
Right, no, but I mean, he ended up in court long after they banned him.
Yeah.
Right, remember, it's years ago they banned him, you know what I mean? So it's only, it was decided on in court recently, but it's years ago they banned him. But the things were really, really, really out of timing, right? So you could say the average person might be able to say, all right, I just know not to go to get that wild.
Yeah.
But these things, making misogynist statements, but don't feminists make
basically, I think the misandry?
misandrous statements all the time? Don't they do that? They don't radical feminists go on social media and essentially call men dogs? Speak about all men as one class of savages or oppressive individuals. Isn't that what they do? So even if he was specifically promoting violence against women, don't some radical feminists do that as well? So now is not a man going way beyond the pay. No, I'm not saying you should promote them things. I'm simply saying now it leaves you like, so okay, so what am I allowed to say now? You know what I mean? Because what exactly are you claiming that is so dangerous about his message? You know, he's challenging your message. That's the only thing, you know what I mean? So what am I allowed to say? That's why this one is much different to Alex Jones, in the sense that Alex Jones, as I say, not saying he should have been banned, but I'm simply saying he was way off the reservation. So you could say, well, I could be me without being that, right? You understand what I'm saying? But let me say you're trying to come up in the red pill space now. How you avoid getting banned if they could ban him? You know what I mean? And
for the people who not too sure who Alex Jones is, right? Alex Jones is one of the people who said that the Sandy Hook shooting...
Not one of the people. He started it. He started the conspiracy, yes.
That the Sandy Hook mass shooting was fake.
Right.
And
crisis actors.
Yeah. And children didn't really die. And people didn't really get shot.
It was all made up to promote the anti-gun agenda.
Yeah. So he is the guy that said that.
He had but he still has, because his channel is not channel. His website still exists. It's called InfoWars, and he was huge on social media, had a huge following, had a huge YouTube page, YouTube channel, used to get millions and millions and millions of views. And it was basically a conspiracy theory show. Now, in defense of Alex Jones, there were many things he pointed out that turned out to be true. Information that it was, that was later verified, or at least it was found that he had good sources for the information he was given. But it was basically a conspiracy theory show. But he was promoting distrust for the state. And that is, I think, what they really wanted to stop. He was promoting ideas that will counter,
their agenda.
Yeah, the current agenda. And that's what they wanted to stop. So they used Sandy Hook as and his statements and his insistence on going on with that theory as an excuse to come after him.
Right, and well, right now I think they pressure him still on the January 6th insurrection.
Yeah.
They say that he was
involved in trying to get people, riling people up to go out to the rally. The
insurrection?
No, it wasn't an insurrection. To the protest.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, it was a protest. Yeah, it was a protest that got violent. Like many other protests get violent all the time. Yeah. But it happened to take place. They happened to gain entry to Capitol Hill, and that was the major issue.
Yeah, and you could say they happened to gain entry. Yeah. They were gaining entry.
you could go down and get banned like Alex Jones. I go run up to the line and stop right there. You know what I mean? But yeah, ultimately the bringing it back to the point I was making before about how dangerous it is to have this kind of censorship going on now, is because I think there are a lot of things coming down the pike that people are not going to like, and a lot of people have legitimate reason to have concern, but they would not want you to voice that concern. So, for instance, I don't know if you know, recently, Rishi Sunak, who was the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK up until recent, he was one of them who resigned that started the ball rolling to get Boris Johnson out, right? So he is now trying to replace Boris Johnson. So he's running for leadership of the Conservative Party. He's not in the lead. Liz Truss is in the lead, but he's one of the major candidates, right? But he recently gave an interview to the BBC, and he said that while his whole thing was that the government gave too much authority and power to the scientists during the COVID pandemic to dictate policy. And one of the things he revealed, or he claims, because we don't have minutes from the meetings, but he is claiming that during the meetings, cabinet ministers were not allowed to address or to bring up the trade-offs of things like lockdowns.
Right.
And they were told, when addressing the public, no mention of trade-offs.
Right.
So, in order to get public buy-in, they essentially silenced cabinet ministers from mentioning the fact that these lockdowns may cause...
the pros and cons.
Right, exactly. Because the scientists, the quote-unquote experts, who only have eyes for one problem, they were making these suggestions because all they care about is bringing down numbers. And when the politicians involved, the elected representatives of the people who were supposed to be like, all right, I understand.
Them have to balance.
They were coerced and silenced. This is him admitting this, not me, right? This is him admitting this. So it is clear that the UK government, at least if what he's saying is correct, and I mean, if he's lying, I'm sure
somebody will call him out.
Somebody would have called him out. So he's basically admitting that the government, because it wanted you to act in a particular way, it was essentially dishonest. Right? So when that same government now tells media house, don't put our man on the air because he could give dangerous misinformation. How are we to trust that that's the situation?
And even with the same we talking about the going green thing. That same thing could be happening now.
Right, precisely. So when people are arguing that
Nah, just looking at it because just now I see the cat was trying to get in the room now. And I know them just have to ball and give back. Yeah.
But so when people start to be like, wait, I'm actually not feeling this green thing. I think it's, you didn't tell me it would cost this much, or when people start to complain about the economic hardships that they're experiencing, what will stop them from saying, no, that's misinformation. The economic hardships aren't coming as a result of, no, we had our experts fact check that, and actually no, the economic hardships have nothing to do with the climate change. Of course they're going to do that.
Yeah. It could go in and be a next.
Of course they're going to do that.
Last 2 years again.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going to happen again.
Every time you bring up an issue, they'll be like, no. All independent experts have checked that. No. And and if you were willing to do it during COVID, we're like, hey, no. We have decided on the direction we're going. So therefore, we aren't going to allow anybody to argue. Why wouldn't they do it with a climate issue? Because again, they would be saying, well, it's to save people's lives. It's to save people's lives.
Well, that is one of the things that Andrew Tate spoke about. And he's talking about now, he said, years ago, the thing that they sold you on was freedom. Right? But now, one of the things they're selling you on is safety. I don't know if you ever saw that clip from him.
I've heard people, yes, I did see the clip. Yes.
And he says, so now everything is we're doing this for your safety.
It's for your safety, yeah.
Yeah, we're doing this for your safety. And you have to understand, it's your safety we care about.
Yeah.
And while the world leaders do whatever they want now.
Yes. Because all of the people telling you that, and telling these Europeans that they need to, well, boy, is the cost of fighting for freedom for the Ukrainians. Are they going to have, is Emmanuel Macron going to be unable to heat his home? Is he going to have to ration the energy in his house? Is Ursula von der Leyen, the head of the EU, is she going to experience the pains and the hardships of, no, her children and her grandkids, if she had grandkids, I don't know if she does, but they will all be fine. They will all live like the elites that they are, and they'll continue to live like that. You are the one that's suffering. Well, not, but those, you know,
the average man,
the working class in all of these nations. Boris Johnson didn't take billions of dollars from his pocket and give it to what is his name? Zelensky.
Right. Yeah.
He didn't unwind his trust, his family trust, or sell off his assets and say, listen, I'm helping. No. He took states' money. Most times there's money to print anyway, right? There's out of thin air. He just took money printed and just handed it to them. Borrowed money essentially from the future that you'll have to pay back for, and he gave it to them. And now he's like, oh, I'm wonderful. I'm a lovely person. I'm giving. I'm helping the cause of freedom, and you are paying the cost because all these sanctions. You're the one feeling the pain.
Yeah, and then obviously when they create the narrative. If you get vexed with that, then you heartless.
You must love Putin.
Yeah, you heartless.
You had to be a Putin. And this is where you come back to people not wanting to think. Like, once you say those things, people shut down. People shut down. So that's why they don't want you to talk them out of the, like we're talking about wrestling being fake. They don't want you to sit down and point out how fake it is. Like, shut up. I want to watch it and believe it. Shut up. My life is a lot easier when I just pretend that this is real and I get all the joy out of it. So when you come now with facts or rationale or reason to try to get them, like, nah, I like this world where I could just feel like I'm a good guy because I say the right things on social media. You know what I mean? I don't help anybody. I don't do anything for anybody. And those things may not be helping anybody. The things I quote unquote support may not be helping people either. But I want to believe that.
Yeah. So the thing is, the people is the problem. The masses.
Yes. And the ruling classes have always recognized that these people are dummies. These people could be easily manipulated.
And the question is it that it has gotten worse? Because I think there obviously had times where it had plenty civil unrest because people didn't agree with a lot of things that were happening. But now, I don't know, is it that we fighting for more frivolous things? If you want to put it like that? Or?
Yes, we are. I think one of the reasons why it's so hard now, especially is to break the spell, is because we are so much more pacified as a people. You have a lot more shit to just keep you docile. You just keep watching TV, scrolling through your phone, you know what I mean? So people don't connect with the rest of the world. Most people don't even live in reality. You know what I mean? They live in a curated reality, a reality that the Matrix essentially, which was created on the phone. You know, they live in a social media world.
Have you seen anything? It's something like
I
Andrew Tate now. You know, he just say the Matrix is called. You know, the thing that most people live in the Matrix now.
Well, don't ban me like Andrew Tate. But I agree. I 100. I've always said we do live in a Matrix. That movie that we saw, it has a lot of parallels to real life. We live in curated reality. And if you don't believe me, disconnect for a while. Stop going with your phone. Maybe not you and I, because you and I are kind of, you know, I don't want to sound like we have some higher intelligence, but we kind of observe things differently, right? Yeah. But for most people, if you don't believe you live in a matrix, turn off for a while and see if your perception of the world around you doesn't change. You know, you just talk about it all the time with black people in the States, right? In terms of, if you live in a social media world, you would think and act as if walking out in the street, you have this high chance of being shot by a police officer, right? It's far greater than you being shot by another violent offender of some sort. But a police officer, that's what you need, because the curated reality on social media has you thinking about it, talking about it,
believing it,
seeing it all the time. Now, if you detach from that and you walk outside and you just observe, you get a completely different understanding and perception of what is real. And that's why they fight so hard to control those things, to control social media and traditional media, because that they are trying to shape a reality that's the matrix they want you living in. If you stop watching them and you start to look around, you start to realize, first of all, I have a lot more in common with these people than I thought. You know, we kind of all basically want some of the same things. I don't need to hate that person. I don't need to, simply because we might disagree on this thing or that. I don't need to hate that person. But they don't want you doing that.
But by chance, you saw the interview with Mark Zuckerberg on Joe Rogan?
I saw the clip where they asked him about the FBI thing.
Yeah, boy.
I didn't watch. I can't stand to hear Mark Zuckerberg talk. He's just so boring. He's put me to sleep. I can't take it. So I worse yet on a Joe Rogan long form interview. Nah, I can't do it.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, right, and well, the FBI had to come and respond. What you're saying is and I'm just making a point of how it is control different things, right?
No, but I saw it, but but I guess for the viewers.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that when they brought up the Hunter Biden thing, and he said, but before the Hunter Biden thing came out, the FBI came to them and came to Facebook and said, listen, elections right around the corner, we're going to be getting a sort of misinformation, right?
You're expecting a dump. Is what he said, a dump of Russian misinformation.
A Russia misinformation. So we just let you know.
Look out for it. Yeah.
So they didn't directly tell him,
yes,
hey, you know, block that or you know, they didn't tell him that, but they just tell him, And with them feeding that, no, I mean, I don't know Mark Zuckerberg personally, but he was saying, hey, listen, when the information came out about Hunter Biden, which is Joe Biden's son, and the laptop and all the corruption and whatever, or the alleged corruption, he's saying, listen, my team decided to kind of, because they didn't block it completely, but what they do is, if you were sharing it, they
dampened it down.
They dampened it down. They weren't letting all the people see it.
It was what he said is they deranked it in the news feed.
Yeah.
So less people would have seen it than would have otherwise. You could have shared it, but it would not have independently ended up in the news feed.
Yeah, right? And what he is saying basically, well, we thought we were doing this for the betterment of the country and the betterment
of the election integrity.
Yeah. Right? And look how simple something like that, which could have turned the election around.
Right.
Because people would have had proper information.
Yes.
But
censor and accurate information about one of the candidates that could have harmed them. That the same people who claim to care so much about democracy and how much and how the integrity of the democratic process, they aren't bothered by that. None of them are saying, because okay, you could say, all right, maybe you could claim and pretend at the time you didn't know, but you could at least come out now and say that was not cool and we should make sure that doesn't happen again. But are they talking about that? No, they're not, because they're not concerned about electoral integrity at all. They're just concerned about getting their way. Democracy to them is when they win. Everything else is not democracy. When they tell lies about their candidate and their candidate wins, that's democracy. When you tell lies about your candidate and your candidate wins, then that's not democracy. That's some kind of that's fooling people. That's hoodwinking people. Every time I hear them talk about, like, even the 2016 election, where they say all that propaganda that was on. Isn't all political campaigning propaganda? Isn't that all propaganda? That's because unless you're telling me that the Russian involvement was to actually rig votes or whatever, if they were putting ads on Facebook in support of one person or another, okay. But isn't that what all politicians do? And even if it's that misinformation, how many politicians lie about their achievements on a campaign trail?
Yeah.
Or lie about their opponents' achievements or scandals? You know what I mean? So isn't all that is the political process? So what do you mean that that's in some way, shape, or form misinformation and shouldn't be allowed? And anyway, but we know why that happened, and to the point we were making earlier, that is the kind of thing, that is the way that they're going to control or seek to control the information that gets out there at this time. And if people weren't so narcissistic and self-involved and weren't so attached to the narratives, and were at least able to admit, all right, listen, you see them kind of shit? Now let me know how that now. Let me have a fair fight. You bring your information, I bring my information, and let me have a fair fight. Then we might have some hope. But most people, once it's not their team that getting censored, they're okay with it. They're glad. The same people who would applaud Andrew Tate being taken off don't recognize that when they become inconvenient, they could be taken off too.
Yeah.
Because they're idiots.
Yeah.
They're just idiots. And so much of us are plugged into the matrix, and we like the character in the first one, the one who betrayed them now, who wanted to go back into the matrix, right? Most people are like him. They don't want to, because when you unplug them from the matrix, first of all, I had to try to be an actual good person. Because in this matrix, in this social media matrix, I don't really have to be a good person. I could just, I could play the victim card to get attention. I could just claim to hate the right people or support the right things and get a round of applause. But if I unplug from the matrix, no, actually I have to be a good person. I have to be empathetic and kind and generous. And all these other, I don't want to do that. I want to live in the matrix where I could be the hero of my story. You know what I mean? Without doing anything heroic.
And I think that is the downfall right now. So a lot of people, they think that they're making a difference, but they're making a difference because everybody claim they're making a difference. Everybody claim they are a warrior.
Yeah,
right?
They want to be. They claim that they want to make a difference.
But nobody, remember, they're posting things. They're posting things.
Right.
To make it look like they're doing something.
Right, to bring awareness.
So everybody is now posting and acting like they're doing something, but nothing is actually changing in real life.
In real life, precisely.
Yeah.
Nothing is changing in real life, or at least it's changing for the better.
Yeah.
Nothing is changing for the better in real life, because none of what they claim that they want to bring about is what they really want to bring about. What they want is to feel good about themselves. That's what they want to do. If they wanted to bring about, if you are one of those people that is genuinely concerned about the relations between the genders, like, you find that women are not treated fairly, or, you have that concern. Anybody who's genuinely concerned about that would know that the only way to solve that problem would be to reach out to the other side, right?
And have a discussion.
And have I know there might be some unreasonable people on the other side that you'll never be able to have a discussion with. That's fine. And it would be, I listen to you, you listen to me. That's how we solve issues. You and your wife, if you and your wife are having issues, what good is it? Could that issue be solved if her idea of solving it is just, hey, well, Nalo, shut up and let me tell you all the ways you're wrong? Would that bring about any change in any meaningful change in a relationship? And anybody who wants to bring about change in a relationship, would they do that? No. But somebody wants to vent, who's only interested in venting and getting revenge or hurting you, or you understand? That's what they would do, because they don't really want to bring about a harmonious relationship. They just want to fuck you up.
And then you have a lot of people who are willing to cheer on, because I like be real. I think having any degree of change takes work. And I think we have a lot of lazy people as well.
Yes.
In the world today.
Yes.
People have gotten way lazier. So hey, listen, if the easier thing is to vent, as they say, and then me cheer on and share and whatever.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Less work for me to do. I do have to actually try and figure this out. I
don't have to sacrifice myself. I don't have to, manage my emotions. I don't have to be like, all right, even if he is being toxic, I don't need to be toxic too. No, I don't have to be a better person, be a better me. I don't have to rise above anything. I just have to give in to my base emotions of being insulting and judgmental and argumentative. And I could do all of that and pretend to be a wonderful person and get applauded as if I'm a wonderful person at the same time. And that's why social media is such an addiction for people, because they get to perform in front of her.
You get to perform with little work, little effort, and get all the rewards.
Yes.
And get a lot of rewards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not as much as if you actually did something. Like if you did something for real. But in your mind, that might be so, but I'm not working so hard.
But no, I think the rewards they get, because let me be real, right? If you I'll put it into TikTok, you post something on TikTok playing this kind of one of these warriors, so any one of these causes, right? You could easily get a video with 100,000 views. Like TikTok is a real wild algorithm, really wild. So you get an easy 100,000 views and an easy 30,000 likes. But if you do something in real, you understand what I'm saying?
No, that's not. I understand what you're saying, but the feeling does not compare, and people know that, and that's why when they do actually do real things, they know what this is. This is the real feeling that the social media imitates.
But the thing is, do you think plenty of them never really do much real things to get a real feeling? So they don't know?
No, I think that they don't care. They just like that. Yes, that they know. Listen, if I get up and run a savannah in the morning for my health, that would feel way better than posting something on social media and getting likes. And I know that, because when I say not me, but I'm just saying you know that. But I will still take the likes because they're easy.
But I agree with you there, but I agree with the second part, but I disagree with the first part. Because I think it comes down to the people, boy. You understand what I'm saying? I think it might be a different generation, a different type of people.
It's not. It's just that they know that the real is better than the fake, but the marginal rate of return, that the extra effort they had to put out to get the real, they would be like, nah. It's almost like, okay, let me say you want to buy X-Trail. X-Trail is $275, let's say. And then there's a Mercedes for MG, whatever.
The G-Wagon?
No, but like where's the M? Is the M series? Is the vans?
Well, there's G's.
The G's, right. Yeah, GLA to GLS, right. So there's a Mercedes GLS for $975. Now the Mercedes is much better than the X-Trail, right? But is it 600,000? But when I spend that extra $600,000, am I going to feel that much better than if I just buy the X-Trail? Nah, fuck that. I'll just buy the X-Trail. That is the difference. They know the Benz is better, But it's just, but I have to put $600,000 more. I know if I go and do something, if I wake up, because what all of them are running from is improving themselves, is improving themselves. Whatever their goal is, if they distract themselves from the hard work of improving themselves so they could look like heroes on the gram, right? Or on wherever social media. If they know that if they actually achieve something, if they actually did something, if they actually build good relationships, it would feel infinitesimally better than anything that they could have done on social media. But the extra work is not worth the extra benefit in their minds. The extra work is not worth the extra benefit. I could just sit back here. Yes, the likes fake. And because you feel I don't know somebody, the love on social media is fake. They know that. They know it's fake because they know all these fans you have, how many of them make it call and ask for anything? They know it's fake. But I'll take this fake because to get the real out of work and that extra 600,000. Nah, I ain't willing to pelt or I'll go just take my extra and cool myself.
Nah, I think it have more delusional people than you think about out there, boy. I think the thing is I understand what you're saying. I understand those type of people that you're talking about. I also understand the people who just wake up and just do the real things. Who just wake up every weekend and go a hike and finish the hike and feel real good when they're done.
No, I mean, listen,
right?
I don't just mean doing those. I simply mean what they're trying to do, what everyone is trying to do is everyone is trying to live a meaningful life. Now, the best way to live a life of meaning is to pursue your potential. We all know that. All of us as human beings, we know that. That's why we feel so bad when we don't do the things we're supposed to do. We know we shouldn't be eating like this. We know we should be exercising more. We know we should be studying more. We know we should be working out. That's that feeling that leads people to depression is that half the time it's because they want to make those steps to improving themselves, but they just can't. So all of these things, these distractions, that's all that they have. That's all that we use them for. We use them as a way to pacify ourselves instead of living a meaningful life is waking up every day, pursuing your dreams, pursuing your potential, whatever that is. Whatever that is, if that is to be extremely healthy, or if that's to have a better relationship with your family, if that's to have whatever it is, we know that. We deep down, all of us know that. None of us don't know that, right? Even if we can't articulate it, we know that. But the distractions become so addictive because it's just like drinking. Instead of dealing with your problem, I could deal with my problem. I could try my best and work through this thing. And I know I would feel 100,000 times better if I solve my problem. But it's hard work. I can just drink and forget my problem. You know what I'm saying? So they prefer to drink and forget the problem. Not that they don't know that, if I was to wake up and be and pursue my potential as a human being, I know I'd feel 100,000 times better. I wouldn't. That's why people who do those things don't spend time on social media.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they're busy building their potential, pursuing their potential. But most of us, and I will include myself in this too, because I do distract myself a lot. Most of us, we don't do that because it's easier to just pick up the phone and get the dopamine hit and get the, you understand what I'm saying? So I don't believe there's anybody who doesn't know that they would feel they would be much better and feel much better if they pursue their potential. But they just don't want to because it's, like I said, they rather drink and forget the problems.
It does weird sometimes I see how people just behave with the social media thing where I be like, you can't. I feel like they just don't know better. The way they behave, I be like, nah, you can't know better and still want to behave like this. I find that real hard to believe, but it's probably true. It's probably that, it's just I probably real naive. Like us, it have people on TikTok, right? That will post a video, whatever controversial thing they would post, whether it be some real strong feminist thing or whatever the case may be, and people would reply, people would comment. and they would make a video replying to nearly every comment. I'm like, oh, so you are making videos all day long. What are you doing for a living? You understand what I'm saying?
No, I mean, to be fair, there may be some of them who are trying to make a living off of that. And if that's the case, if they're trying to build a business on it,
things like that, you can't make I don't see how you make a living off of that.
No, I don't know if you're trying to build your profile as a personality. Now, if you're using these things intentionally and your aim is to become an influencer,
I understand that.
Right? But so there may be those aside.
Yeah. Nah, I talking about some
normal people. Yeah. Well, then they know they should be putting down the phone and minding the business. They know that. You feel they don't know that. You feel it like, hey, what should you? What is the state of your life right now? If you took half the energy you put into that and put into something productive, where you think you would be? You think they don't know that?
Because the thing is, I see people tell, like, one particular girl, I see people tell her, like, horse, you on here making videos, right? You, but then look into war, particular banks because you didn't pay, whoever you didn't pay. Right?
Yeah.
And whoever you see have the bank and whatever.
Yeah. If you spend half that time.
Right? And they're like, horse, put on the phone and find something.
And find something to fucking do.
Find something to do, you know?
Yeah. You feel she don't know that? But it's hard. It's hard because I hard work. And she's become addicted to that. She's become addicted to the easy feedback. Because if she let's say she takes one afternoon and says, okay, I'm going to try and find a second job. Right? That's what I'm going to try. I'm going to try to, maybe I don't have no skill I could monetize, but I'm going to try to find a second job so I can make more money. So I would not have, I'll take the advice to people. She might apply that whole afternoon and get no job. What do you think that kind of person going to do? Fuck that, let's go back to the thing as get results in one time. It's not rocket science, so they know. It's just as easy. It's easy.
I guess to sum up this whole thing with social media and whatnot and people making change, I guess that's why. So instead of people actually protesting, instead of people actually understanding the shitty things that's coming down the road, you know, for the entire world.
Yeah.
They just, well, boy, I'm not going to try to stand up and fight, I'm not going to protest, I'm not going to... I just come here and I write something and I post something and, you know, and nothing changes. The same world leaders do whatever they have to do and...
Yeah. But the thing is, my argument is even that they don't want to protest, you know, is that they don't even want to understand. They don't even want to understand. They don't even want to be told. They don't even want to be broken out of, you know, they in their mind, I understand the world this way. Understanding the world this way makes me feel comfortable. It makes me feel happy. This is the world I understand, right? And I could maneuver in this world. They tell me these are the things that are popular amongst the cool kids. And these are the things you have to be for. Well, all right. Well, I could do that. I could virtue signal. I could support the right people. But you now coming to bring information. I'll kind of throw that whole that existence out of whack. Nah, yeah, I'm not trying to understand.
But
bro,
I think, but I see the great work of the people who got people hooked on social media. They got them hooked and brainwashed so dread in social media that it's difficult for the people with alternative perspectives. You understand, to reach them. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because you want to be the cool kids. So you know they did it in a way where obviously you want to be liked. You want your post to be liked. You want your personality to be liked.
Yes.
So and as the popular people delivering on one particular message.
Yes.
So.
Anything outside of that, you're having problems. So unless you find a niche or you find your tribe of contrarian thinkers or whatever, then even then you're just in a different echo chamber, right? You're just in a different echo chamber.
And you see, but even I think the problem now is that from the time that anybody who thinks or operating contrary, the cool kids will start to make them seem like they're the bad ones. They're the wackos.
True, but what I'm saying is, but they still exist. They're contrarians who are very, very popular, right? There are people who are not promoting the mainstream narrative who are insanely popular, right? Have large followings and so on. But what I'm saying is, the people don't talk to each other.
Right.
So if you can't be like, all right, I heard this guy say something that was slightly contrarian that I agree with. I don't agree with everything he's saying. But if I want to hear more of what he says, I have to go in this corner because it's only there. It is shared. It is only there that and now I have to see a whole bunch of other people who the algorithms say are like him. I don't really find, you know what I mean? I simply because I believe this, don't believe my, you know, for instance, if you watch anything on YouTube that is, you know, mildly of a conservative bend, it ain't gonna take long before man like Andrew Tate end up in your feed because somehow they link your kind of thinking or you finding this thing interesting to the red pill. So now he ended up, and I mean him and his
whoever
his dating thing.
Whether it be Matt Walsh, whether it be Ben Shapiro,
right? And all of a sudden, so now you have to dwell in that echo chamber, and so those people don't ever get to. It can't just be, well, you get to wake up in the morning and see Andrew Tate or I don't know, some feminist. You know what I mean? And you could get to see which one make more sense. You could post it and the people talk about this and talk about that. But no, if you post one thing of his, oh, here's what I thought I could respect you. And then you go be like, well, I just find a little thing that the man say here correct. Well, you should go and find out the other things he said. I don't care what else he said. I'm saying that I agree with this. Don't get, dragged into some right wing, blah, 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 blah. And then you either lost your friend or you lock off Andrew Tate because you're like, who is this? I saw this video and I found what he said here was cool. Why are you trying to police what else I could watch? You understand what I'm saying? But that's how social media has programmed us to behave now.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
This might have to be a two-part too.
We now reach 2 hours. So,
all right.
Yeah. And today's Thursday, so we're back here again early next week doing it again. So,
right.
Yeah, we will touch on any other topics that we had to touch on. Any major thing to touch on?
No.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, we're good there.
Hey, thanks again for viewing. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for all these things. Remember, look for us on Twitter if you want to
engage in a rap with him.
Yeah, if you want to engage in a little rap, you understand?
Yeah.
Look for us on Twitter.
Look for him on Twitter. If
right? Yeah. The Twitter handles will be in the show description. I'll try and put it this week. I had a chance think it in that it's permanently there. Yeah. Hopefully I get time this weekend. But we out. Have a wonderful one. Have a blessed one.
Yeah. As I was saying, I'm afraid.
Yeah, right? And we'll school opening next week without masks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
well, without masks being mandatory.
Without masks being mandatory, yes. We'll see how it goes.
Yes.
And by the next time we record, we'll let you know because we record Monday or Tuesday next week when school should have opened.
Would have reopened.
Even though I hear people talking about some rest and reflect next week Monday. Teachers want to rest and reflect Monday.
Serious?
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. So, we will see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Cool.